strength. I'm able to still go through this process.
Brave woman, raising brave children. Proudly an immigrant mom, proud to the immigrant mom. Brave woman, raising brave children. Proudly an immigrant mom, proud to the immigrant mom. Brave woman.
Strength. I'm able to still go through this process.
Brave woman, raising brave children. Proudly an immigrant mom, proud to the immigrant mom. Brave woman, raising brave children. Proudly an immigrant mom, proud to the immigrant mom. Brave woman.
Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's another Thursday. How are you doing? This is the Immigrant Mom. Let's give it a couple minutes. Please go ahead and share. Excuse me. Hi, Denise. Thank you for joining. See, I was so excited when I saw you joining. All right, let's go ahead and share. Give it a couple minutes.
If you know that you are a living testimony, lève-toi et chante avec moi. Il est le roi, Jésus est le roi, il est le roi, Jésus est le roi. Oui, dans ma vie, il a fait de grandes choses. He is the King. Jesus is the King. He is the King. Jesus is the King. Yes, in my life, He has done great things.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. If you're just joining us right now, this is the Immigrant Mom Show. My name is Ixtel. Let's just spend this time like we normally do to share and invite other people to join us. Today, we have a special guest. It is Chat with Uche today. I am so excited. There's a lot that we're going to learn. Go ahead and share and join. We're going to give it a couple more minutes and we'll get started.
Waymaker, can you ever lose your way? The truth in life, is it possible for you to lie? Forever the same, can you ever make a mistake? You
I
are
want you to
more
join.
than
Let me
the
know where you're
words we
watching
sing.
from.
You
Hi,
are
hi, Denise.
everything.
Hi, Antonia. Thank you for joining. I can see a couple people are online. Please
Can
let me
you
know
ever
where you're
lose
watching
your
from.
way?
Go ahead and
The
share.
truth in
Let me know where you're watching
life, is
from.
it
Say
possible
hi. I
for
would
you
like
to
to know who was
lie?
on. And if you're watching on YouTube, please
Forever
comment
the
so I can see the
same.
comments from
Can you ever
YouTube
make a
and Facebook.
mistake? You are more than the words we sing. You are everything. Everything, everything. You are everything. The first and last, and the distance in between.
Yes, hi Denise. Thank you. Thanks for checking. Honestly, it's been a little bit crazy here in Dallas. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we had some leak on the road and it's been accident upon accident. It's been really crazy. But thanks for checking, sis. I am doing good. We stayed home. My little sister had a little bit of an incident, but thankfully she is good. Yes, our usual song, and we get started. more time for people to join. Share on your group. Share with your friends. I don't do I always forget. I need to share.
I remember when you told me leave your
So we can
life
get started.
to leave my hair up or let it down. Remember when you told me always smile, but some days I really sad, 'cause it wasn't easy. Still I had to find a way.
Thank you for joining. Hi, Minerva.
Better they stay.
You're watching from
This
Dallas. I
one
hope
no
you're
be
safe. I hope
mouth, I
you're
will
staying home.
never
It's
let you
crazy on the road
down. I say
today. We Texas people don't know how to drive in snow, sleet, or ice. So you don't have to be out. Please stay home. Hi, Uche. Hi, everybody. Say hi. Let's keep the house warm. The more I hike, the warmer it gets, the faster we get started. Say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. And it's good storytelling time. We're going to learn from someone else's experience. I'm telling you, this is the beauty of what we have. The beauty of what we have. Sure. Please share this. Share, share, share.
Remember when you told me, be careful of them. Say if them touch your lap, oh, you go carry belly. Oh, I remember. Oh, my, I remember.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. If you see me sipping on some water, understand that I'm dealing with a little cough. And so I'm going to try to go through without any interruptions and stuff. But I know you guys understand it's cold season and all. So, guys, welcome. Welcome to the Immigrant Mom Power Show. We have these shows every Thursday. We have special editions on Saturday. If you were with us, we had Dolly last Saturday and she talked to us about skin glow. She shared a lot of useful tips. And, like my sister Uche was telling me, some of these things we talk about on here, we don't know them. We go home, we implement them, we see the changes. That's the beauty of this platform. Today, we're going to be chatting with Uche. We're going to be talking about her story, where she has been, her journey as an immigrant mom. So I'm going to play a little video of Uche while I read her bio.
Brave woman, raising brave children. Proud me an immigrant mom, bound to the immigrant mom. Brave woman, raising brave children.
So
Proud me
this is
an immigrant
Uche.
mom, bound to the immigrant
Uche, your mic is on mute.
mom. Brave woman, raising brave children.
This is a brave woman for today. Welcome, Uche. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi,
I was just
Sam.
going to
How
tell
are
our
you?
audience. Yes, I was just going to tell our audience a little bit about you before
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
you tell them and introduce yourself. So Uche, her name is Judith Uche Udemba, commonly known as Uche, born in Bamenda, Cameroon, and currently, she went to primary school in Bamenda, worked as a home health consultant when she came to the US, I believe, for about 5 years. Currently, she is a lifestyle coach and mentor, and she's an upcoming blogger. She's currently married, resides in Maryland with her husband, who is a computer engineer, and she has a 19-year-old son. Hi, Uche. Thank you for joining us. I had to
You're
go through
welcome.
that written bio because that's just formality. I don't think that anybody listening to me in the last couple seconds will be able to tell who Uche is. And I normally just do that, because it's formality. But now I'd like for you to just tell me, tell us, who is Uche? Who are you?
That's not much about me.
No,
Just a
there is.
regular
I will
person.
correct you on that. There is so much about you. Let's say this on the World Wide Web. There's so much about you. Sure, sis. Go ahead and tell
Yeah, I mean, first of all, thank you for this platform. This, I don't know if it's another opportunity to just share, about myself and who I am and everything. Um, it's always hard, even no matter how much you do, it's always hard to say you do a lot.
Yeah.
But, I'm just an immigrant mom that has, seen it, been through
Mhm.
it, gone through the experiences. Definitely, when we say an immigrant mom, I'm not from here. I was not
Right.
born here. I didn't grow up here. So I
Right.
definitely came from Cameroon. Yes. My
Yeah.
parents are Nigerians, because I'm sure some people will be listening and be like, oh,
I
you're
was
Uche. What
just
are you
going
doing
to
with
ask.
Cameroon? But
Right. I was going to ask that question so you can clarify some of our curious cats who will be wondering, why you
yeah.
have dual background. So you were saying that you grew up in Cameroon, but you're originally from Nigeria.
Yes, I was actually born and bred in Cameroon. My parents are Nigerians. So I hardly claim Nigeria because I'm a stranger to the land. If I go there, I don't know anywhere. I don't know anything. So,
Wow.
but I always tell everybody I'm a straight Bamenda girl. Like, that's where I know, that's where I relate. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I went to school. I think I went to Lord's Form 1 only, and
Lesson
then
in the
left.
house. Okay, this is
I
time
know,
for
right?
lessons.
Happy
Lessons. Like we
anniversary,
need to hear you
everyone.
shout. If there's any lesson online, you need to pull lessons. Let them be on here because their sister is like, let's give her some support.
Yes, happy anniversary to all the lessons all over the world. We
Awesome.
celebrate each other.
Awesome.
Yeah, then went to St. Bede's and St. Paul, then I came here. So, yeah.
So, how long have you been in the US? Just to give a context of what this journey and how long it has been.
I'll be 20 years in America this summer.
20 whole years.
Yeah.
20 whole years. All right, so let's get into it, right? There's a lot we have to talk about. We have to talk about how you were a single mom, how you
Mm-hmm.
found yourself in that situation or in that life circumstance,
Yeah.
and what it was like for you, how many years you were a single mom for, and then getting married and everything that you have
Mhm.
gone through. But before we get into the meat of the story, I'd like to just know, what was your mantra, or what is your mantra? When I talk about mantra, I'm talking about that thing that has pushed you on. Some people would say it's something my mom said, or something my dad said, or something I read in the book. What is that thing that resonates to the deep core of your soul that kept you going?
First and foremost, most people who know me, I'm a firm believer of Christ.
Mhm.
But I'll tell you this, through my struggles and everything, no matter what's going on in the world or happening through me, there's this thing about me. I always tell myself, nobody suffers for nothing.
Mhm.
You can't go through a trial for nothing.
Right.
I always just relate issues to farming. You know how we farm back at school, you have to till the earth, you know, weed it, plant some seeds, water it, and give it time and watch it grow. And even as it's growing, you still have to go back and still water it. And I always
Right.
just tell myself, Uche, no matter what happens, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. It might be so dark right now, but patience, just wait for that little light. And I
Right.
think that really kept me going. I always think about that, and plus just leaning on God,
Mhm.
trusting God
Yeah.
that things will be okay.
A light at the end of the tunnel, in other words, is saying, irrespective of what is going on, there should be hope. Because light at the end of the tunnel simply says that as bad as it is today, I have hope that tomorrow will be better,
Hmm.
or I'll be able to make sense of the fact that it was dark at some point. And the Bible actually says that a hopeful dog is better than a dead lion, because hope is what distinguishes, right?
Yes,
Like, hope is
yeah.
for the living. Hope is for the living. In the land of the dead there's no hope, and that's really remarkable that you share that as your, that's your mantra, that's what has kept you going. So let's talk about you being a single mom. I'm not sure if you're comfortable telling us how old you were when that happened, and maybe you can just go back in your mind to that place and state when you were, when you found out you were pregnant, and what that journey has been like for you. Because trust and believe, we have people who are watching who are either single
Mm-hmm.
moms or single moms. So what was that experience like for you?
Sure. First of all, growing up back home, there's this notion that, once you're pregnant at school, outside wedlock, you're already like, you know,
A
a bad
failure.
girl, you're sleeping
Mm-hmm.
around, you know. But for me, it was it was pressure.
Mm-hmm.
It was pressure surrounding me at that time, and
When you
you
say
know,
pressure, what exactly do you mean?
um, pressure of being accepted. I would put
Mm.
it that way. Pressure of being accepted. And trying to, like, you know, it's like being too good to a fault, and
Yeah.
you're being looked at like you're odd, you're different.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be like this. This is what's going on. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. And funny enough, I mean, I still really, like, when I actually look back, I'm thankful
Yeah.
because I look at it as God really loved me to
Mm-hmm.
allow that first step I took to now become pregnancy and get me take me out of what could have, I don't know what would have become of me,
So
you
let me
know.
understand the storyline. When you talk about pressure, there was pressure for you to fit in and be like the other girls in school that resulted in a pregnancy. Is that what that pressure meant?
And yeah, somewhat like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to call me Holy Mary, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like it. It was kind
Yeah.
of a little bit like,
Right.
yeah. So
And did you have your parents
I
with
mean,
you at
I
that
can't
time?
explain.
Did you have your parents with you at that time?
Yeah.
They were here with you
Oh
in the
yeah.
US?
Oh, when I had my son.
No, like when you experienced that pressure, were you, did you travel to
No,
America
all this
by
was back
yourself?
home. All
Oh,
this
this
was
was
back
back
home.
home. Okay.
Yeah. All this was all this was back home, not here, you
Okay.
know. Yeah. So, you know, with all that, it was just a little bit overwhelming,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, you know what? I don't know. Let me just try this and see what's gonna happen. And boom, I got pregnant. I'm like, okay, you know what? I shouldn't have even gone there.
Right.
And that was it. And with the pregnancy, I now came to America with that pregnancy.
Oh, you came to America pregnant.
Yes.
And
So I
when
now
you
came.
moved to America, did you have your parents or you didn't?
Actually, I came with my mom.
Okay.
My mom and I came to America,
Hmm.
but I think right after I gave birth, she now went back.
Okay.
So
All right. And
right after I gave birth, she now.
I wanted to pause and interject here on the reality that kids go through, not just in your home country, but even in a place like America. Think about
Oh,
an
definitely.
18-year-old, a 19-year-old, or a 16-year-old who has moved with their parents to a new country. A child that would normally not find themselves doing certain things begins to succumb to certain actions as a result of
Hmm.
pressure. And it's a topic
Exactly.
for another day about what these children go through.
Please, I
Children
will.
of immigrants, it's a topic
Like,
for another day.
oh yeah, because I used to do youth ministry way
Mhm.
back, and boy, you would be surprised.
Yeah, of the pressure.
Sometimes you'll be thinking, oh, the pressure is at 15. No, That pressure starts at 8 years old. That pressure starts at 10 in America. It's a big deal. It's so hard for people to comprehend. Like, what would an 8-year-old be pressured about? Oh, yes. An American
Right.
8-year-old is already stressed out,
Mm.
and as funny as it
Yeah.
is the reality of life,
Right.
So, like you said, for another day, we can go
For
deeper
another,
later.
I asked a question on our Immigrant Mom group. For those of you who are not yet a part of the group, please send your request because we have a lot of stuff we talk about. And the question was to
Yeah.
single moms. And the question was this: what do you wish someone had told you, or what do you wish you had known before becoming a single mom? And that's the question I wanted to ask you here to share with our audience. In the period when you were a single mom raising your son here in America without your parents, in a country you did not grow up in, I cannot imagine how hard it was. I cannot. What do you
Mm.
wish that you had known, that you want someone else watching us today to know?
One thing I'll say is, first, that word single,
Hmm.
don't do it if you're alone.
Don't do it if you're alone.
No,
Hmm.
because one, it's not just, when we think about single mom, everybody's thinking of that beautiful born baby,
Hmm.
so cute, so lovely, it's a baby. But we forget that that baby is going to grow into a human being.
Hmm.
That baby is going to face things that we can't understand. That baby is going to have to deal with things that we will never know.
But then
And
that's like sometimes people are it's out of their control. Let's just say they already are pregnant. They already have the baby. They
oh
don't have
yeah, no, I'm just saying,
not.
for like one thing I would know, like, that's the aspect I'm going with. But
Mhm.
then again, if you find yourself in that situation, um, strength,
Yeah.
strength, strength is what you got to lean on.
Hmm.
Um, and God, and you have to believe in yourself, because for me, I had to overlook the fact that now I'm the mom. People are looking at me like, okay, she's this, she's that,
Hmm.
but no one could understand my circumstances or what I went through, or people may not understand that, okay, she doesn't sleep around or this or that. So you get to a point where, what, this is my identity, this is who I am. I don't care
Hmm.
what anybody thinks, and this is my struggle already, and I have to face it.
Right.
You
When I
have to
asked
have
that,
that mind of willingness to face it.
I'm sorry, please
Go
carry on.
ahead. Say
No, go
again.
on. Go on.
Oh, you're asking something.
No, I was
Yeah,
saying
okay.
I was going to reiterate. Hi, Victoria. Thanks for joining. I was going to reiterate what was said on the group because some people really shared what they wish they had known. And someone said
Hmm.
she wished she had not put it on her daughter to console her for the reality of their situation, where she was married and then the marriage didn't ended up not working, and the daughter felt like she needed to be strong for her mom. And one thing she would tell other single mothers is don't put that emotional responsibility on your child to support you emotionally. Another person said, it's okay to be a single parent and there should be no stigma. Our culture as immigrants from diverse places in the world, we tend to stigmatize this,
That's what I was just saying.
this era of a person's life to say, maybe they were slipping around. And even if, I think people should be less judgmental if they looked at their own weaknesses, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right. So, with that said, what would you tell like an advice, or how did you cope, and what would you advise other single moms? Because I really just want you to, the reality of it's not easy. I know I hear you say strength, I hear you say, dependent on God. But strength and dependent on God are they're very oblique terms to somebody who is dealing with the reality of not knowing where to keep their kids, of having to keep a job and not having enough money to afford daycare. Like, I just want us to go into the practicality of being a single immigrant mom raising a child in America. What advice?
Okay, let me tell you. Um, it's so funny. When my son was barely 4 months old, you know, where we were staying, from nowhere, they were like, "You can't stay here anymore. You gotta go." I'm like, "Huh? Where am I gonna go? I'm
Yeah.
new to America. I don't know anywhere. I don't have any money." I mean, I was in shock for like 2 days. I didn't eat. I couldn't think. I'm like, what? Like, how? You
And why did
know?
you have to
And
go? What was the reason?
baby, I mean, it's just another mouth to feed. It's a lot for the family. Or you're here, so we can't continue to keep you. You need to find somewhere else
Practically,
to
a
go
family
live.
you were living with was throwing you out.
Hmm.
Okay.
So I now had to like call my dad, like, okay, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And he found another place for me to stay in. So, all that transition, it's like, what's going on, you know? And
Yeah.
at some point, of course, I'm like, okay, I need to go to school, this, that. And at some point, my son now had to go see my parents. I had to send him back home because my mom was here, but she left.
Yeah.
So my dad wanted to see the baby, all of that stuff. So he went home and I was in school and all of that. And later he came back, about uh, 7 or so, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and that was where the nitty gritty started,
Yeah. Yeah.
and here I am, a student, and I'm just like, at first it's exciting, everything. And at some point, I was still in New York at this time, and we're together. I remember going to work. I used to work at TJ Maxx then, and the where I was staying, the lady was okay, but as
Hmm.
soon as he came, the same thing, like, oh, this kid is an extra mouth to feed. And she was like, oh, she doesn't work. It's only her husband that works. And I just started working when my son came back at that time. So she's like, oh, it's a lot for her. She can't do this. She can't do that. So when I'm going to work, I have to take him with me. I'm like, where am I going to keep him? She's like, that's your business. He's yours. So you deal with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had to take him to work. I work at TJ Maxx then. So I'll put him in between the clothes at work when I'm
Oh wow.
there
Oh wow.
and just cover him. Oh yeah, and just cover him, and mind you that going to work, I don't have a car. So I have to walk like 45 minutes to a bus stop.
45
And
minutes.
yeah, so if I have to be at work at 7, by 5, we're already leaving the house because it's going to be a long journey. Because you have to consider the walk, you have to consider the stops. I have to stop at, McDonald's or something to have him eat, rest, and then take another, bus. It was always 2 buses to work at that
Right.
time. So yeah,
And let
we
me
did that for
let
a
me
moment.
interject and say this, right. These are the realities, and I love the fact that you're keeping it real. I love the fact that you're keeping it real with us, because this is something that happens to most immigrants. Whether you're with a child or you're not with one, when you just come to this
Mhm.
country, there's a little bit of a run around with people not
Mhm.
wanting to stay with you. You don't even have to have a child. You stay with a
Exactly.
family and even, relatives, and after a couple weeks, or they'll say, no, I don't want you to live with
Yeah.
me anymore. And they send you away. But one thing that I have just taken out of what you have shared is, don't do this journey by yourself if you have an organization or a community that is ready to support you. And that's the beauty of what we have as the immigrant mom community, setting in a space that would be
Mm-hmm.
inclusive of everyone, to say you can come to the community and we can try to figure out what, maybe resources, a shelter, a place you can stay, maybe a boys and girls club where you can keep the kid and not have to hide him in between clothes. That was a difficult thing, but that's the reality of most immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
Someone is asking, why did you choose to bring your son back when you were not done with school?
Well, it's not easy for a mom to just be without having the child, you know? And plus, going through immigration issues and all of that, he was born here. So it was well thought of like, okay, he needs to be visiting. I need to show that relationship, you know, with him. And also him getting to know that, okay, this is me, can come and go back and stuff like that. So that was it. That was the plan. But then it kind of like took another turn at that time.
Right.
So, I mean, sometimes we can't really help certain situations, but then again, you still want to make sure, like, okay, as a mom, you can still feel that connection with your kid, with your child. And I mean, mind you, I gave birth at 19. So
Hmm.
I was it's not like I was in my 30s or in my 20s. So I was like, it's almost a teenage mom, like late teen mom. So
Right.
yeah.
So
And,
what's your,
and go ahead.
no, I was going to say, what advice would you give to single moms?
My advice is, one, be strong. You're already in the situation, you know, no matter what happens, you got to love who you are.
Right.
Love yourself. Don't blame yourself. Don't blame your child for that situation. Because as a mom, sometimes, there were times where I would look at my son and be like, I wish I never even got myself involved in this thing, because you're trying to raise this kid and you're trying to raise yourself and you're trying to deal with your struggles and everything. We're humans. It's not that I don't love him, but at that time, I'm looking at him like, I wish there was a better situation. I wish there was better help. I wish there was better support. Like you're saying, we have the avenue immigrant mom now. But it's now like, now is a time where a lot of people are coming up as coaches, as
Yeah.
having platforms like this for other parents. Back then, it really wasn't it, because most of us were all trying to go to school, trying to meet up with life. But now a lot of us have grown, a lot of us have understood the system, a lot of us are now trying to actually get into the system and make it better and connect with everybody.
Right.
So for moms, I would always tell everybody, you have to love who you are.
Yeah.
Accept the fact that you are a mother, single or not, because even married moms still have a struggle, with a growing child.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, for single moms, especially, I will tell you, feel good about you. Don't lose your identity. Don't lose yourself. Work out, look good. Take care of the child. You can't kill yourself. If you find an avenue for help, even if it's for a day or two, take advantage of it. But I would say be careful of the environment that you have with those kids,
Right. Right.
because as a single mom, you're struggling to make ends meet. You can have two, three jobs. You can be going from here to there. And you can be like, oh, okay, I'm going to leave you to stay with this person. She's my friend. But you don't know who her kids are. You don't know who that friend is when you're not with her.
Hmm.
Because I'm going to tell you, a lot of people fake who they are,
True.
until you're in the same room or within the walls of their homes. And you're like, but when you're outside or you post pictures, this is not what we see. And you'll be
Right.
surprised sometimes your kids will be like, oh, when I was over there, this is what they were doing. You'll be like, oh no, they can't. They cannot do that because but it's stuff that happens. So the environment where we are, even where you stay, it's highly important. I was just sharing with somebody 2 weeks ago and I was telling her, I'm like, I'm not big on you know how people are like, we need a good school district that
Yeah.
has, you know, the top accreditation
And you're not big on
for
that?
kids. No, I'm looking for an environment that will say there is less crime, less gangs, less this for my child, because no matter what school my child goes to, I'm the number one teacher. You cannot expect the teacher to teach your son or your daughter everything. No, you have to lay a foundation ground at home for those kids, so that when they get to school, they're now getting a support, they're now getting addition. And that's why I really admire Asians. You know,
Yeah.
Asian kids, you know, majority of them don't watch TV at home, majority don't play games. They're always studying with their parents 24/7, and you would see them how they perform at school. There is a difference. I'm not saying games and all those things are bad, but you know, sometimes because of how hardworking we get and where we're coming from, parents focus so much on work, money, this, you know, oh, there's this weekend party, we gotta be there, da, da, da. And you forget. You say, oh, the
Right.
kids have their games to play, the kids have TV to watch.
Right.
You don't
Right.
know what they're watching. You don't know what they're playing. If you see some kids playing GTA or Fortnite, or the like, even Nickelodeon, Disney, most of this now, everybody has a boyfriend, everybody's kissing, they're talking about sex. And you know, you see a 3 4 year old telling the dad, oh, I have a boyfriend at school, and you still leave them alone. And you know, so it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot.
And
I mean,
I mean, like you are really touching on very, very, very sensitive and touching topics. I just wanted to
mhm.
acknowledge my pastor who is watching. He says a lot of people fake who they are. Yes, they do. Thank you. That's my pastor. His online. I appreciate your
Oh,
presence, sir.
hello.
Yeah, so you were touching on a lot of sensitive points that, I want us to not just glide over them, because the purpose of why we're here is so that we can have important conversation. As a single mom, it might be difficult to have a 24/7 surveillance over what your child
Yeah.
does, watches. But it is so critical that, as important as it is for you as a single mom to pay the bills and make sure that your child is fed, it is even more important to watch what is feeding his soul, because it starts often like a seed. And most times, we as immigrant moms try to cut a huge tree when we should have cut it when it was a seed. What programs are they watching? Like you said, you're already in that situation as a single mom, but right now you have to make the most, knowing that you are the
Mhm.
protector of that child. What are they watching when you're not available, or when you're not there, when you're working? Because some of those ideas that we try to catch when it's already a full grown tree begin when the children are young. So in your case, were you able to monitor your son? How did you do it? And I just wanted us to talk really quickly, because I wanted to ask you about being a military mom, because that's something I saw in your picture. But before we get there, did you monitor your son? How did you do it?
I mean, not like you said, you can't control every moment, you know, because you have to work. I have to work. I have, you know, other things that I needed to do. So, I mean, but I would just go with a question Victoria asked. Victoria says, "Would you have done something differently with your situation, with the information that you have now?" Definitely. And that would be cell phone. Oh no. Mm-mm. I don't care what. You're not having that cell phone, you know. And because one thing I realized with kids over here, there's that pressure of who has the most friends, who wants to
Who
hang
has
out,
the most friends?
yes, who is more popular in the school, in the class, you know. And at the point, my son had that because one, oh, you know, he's light skinned, so
Hmm.
any spot on the face, oh my gosh, I can hit. I mean, I don't hear the last of it at home, you know.
Oh, really?
And So it's a big deal. Like, you're not supposed to have acne. I'm like, it's a normal thing that people do. You have to go through it. But teenagers don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
American teenagers don't see that you have to have acne. It's not allowed. You're not. And that was one of his major pressure. And and he was trying to learn what to do, how to overcome it, and this. And I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
so things that don't make sense, put it that way, because we may not understand, I may not understand, a mom will
Right.
not understand, a dad will not understand, but these kids make it a big deal.
Right.
So with
And
them,
I'm
every little
curious.
thing matters. But I would go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm curious to know what other moms who are watching us think about this. As a mother to a child growing up in a culture you did not grow up in, what do you do when they complain about things you don't understand? Like, if your child came and made a big deal about that pimple, to you it was nothing. To him, it was everything.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
what
for me,
how do you handle something that is a big deal based on this culture that to you it's like, get over it?
I will tell you that for me, one thing I always told my son, I'm like, that acne is a natural phase of life, and I'm not gonna get anything for you to use on your face. And he came up with something later like, oh, my friend said proactive works. I say, hey, let it work for them. You are going to keep your face like that. Accept the fact that acne came on your face. Nobody put it there. That's how God created man. I grew up at a point, I had acne, had blemishes. You have to learn to accept your body and accept who you are. It might take a minute, but you have to learn, because if you don't accept you and what you're dealing with, people are not going to accept you. So in the long run, you might find yourself in your 20s or 30s still trying to belong somewhere because you lost yourself as a teenager.
Hmm. Right.
It may not make sense, but it's easy to say, oh, okay, we're going to go to the store and get something to cover it up. What if he comes up tomorrow with something you cannot solve? What you going to do?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I had to learn as a mom, don't be quick to provide a solution for every little thing. I'm not God.
That's a good one. That's a
I,
good one.
I am not
And
God.
I
I
think that
can't do it.
this is like a learning moment for all of us, because as a mom, we want to put out fires, but we cannot do it all. But a
Mm-mm. No, no,
little, the
no.
way my approach would be a little different from yours, in that I would not insist in a way like, go ahead and accept yourself, because the reason why the child is struggling is because of the environment they find themselves in school. I think I would listen, and that's my approach that I recommend. That, if your child is dealing with something that you don't understand based on culture, listen, acknowledge that what they're experiencing is real, because to them it's real. It might not be real to us immigrant moms because we
Mhm.
have a different upbringing, but it's real to them. Acknowledge it, listen,
Oh,
and take
definitely.
it away.
Definitely. But the thing is, with the culture here, the kids are faster.
Hmm.
So I hear what you're saying. I listen to him. I know what he's saying, but I'm not going to solve your problem, because if you start solving that problem, a problem is going to come that you cannot solve. What would you do as a mother? At that point, if you cannot solve that problem, trust me, they are going to go out there and find a solution. And you will be like, oh my God, I failed my child. So you have to also let your children know, because if they cannot accept, like the acne thing we're talking about now, if they never accept it, no matter what you solve later on, they will end up not accepting so many things that you bring their way. But when they realize, oh, mom said the acne is gonna go, it comes, just don't pinch your face, let it be. For real, it will dry up, it's gonna go. Then you'll be like, okay, you know what? We're gonna find stuff to make the blemish go away. And you give them a chance to now listen to you later when you want to talk about something. You give them a chance to now listen to you later when you want to talk about something, because you don't want to
Okay.
come up with a quick solution. Let's do this. And then you fail in your solution. and then tomorrow they're not going to bring something else to you. They'll be like, every time we bring
We
something
had a
to you,
little
you
glitch.
accept it, but it never works.
We had a little glitch in the connection. Can you hear me? All right. Can you hear me? I think we lost you for a second.
Yeah, I think you're freezing.
And it looks like you're freezing too. I'm not sure whether
Can you hear
it's
me?
coming from. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me very well?
Yeah, my this
Oh,
thing is back on now. It's,
okay. Sorry. A lot of questions are coming
yeah,
in
my
that I
friend
want
asked
us to.
the question.
I was going to
Yeah,
say that
my
let's
friend
handle
asked the
questions
question.
at
Let's
the
go to
end.
the.
Is it? Can we handle questions at the end, because quite a number of questions are coming in, but I just wanted us to touch on a couple things before we get on to the questions, so we don't stay on one topic. There's a lot. There's a lot about
Oh, okay.
Uche. So let's. All right.
Now I know there was a lot. I thought there was nothing.
Oh, there is quite a bit. I was going to talk to you about, or just ask you about your weight loss, and I brought that up because you were very intentional about it. And I'm going to be honest, you look really good in your pictures. That was the first captivating point
Thank
that drew
you.
me. Like, this lady looks really good. Who is she about? What's she about?
Thank
And you say
you.
you were not always that way. You're welcome. What's the journey been like? Because I know you coach people now.
Yes. For those who know me way back, I mean, I've always been a skinny person, but at some point I gained weight, but it wasn't that bad, it was okay. But after I got married, I just gained so much weight, you know. Um, I was not going out to work, it's just stay home mom, and I used to be at like 150. And next thing you know, one day I was like, I'm 189, I'm 192. I'm like, no. And all that started with trying, I'll wear clothes and I realized they're tight. And I always tell myself this thing: once my clothes start getting small, I'm not gonna buy new outfits. We're gonna find a way for them to fit. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but they gotta fit. Because if I buy new size outfits, then I'm gonna keep buying new size outfits. Then I'll be like, oh no. And I love to cook. I'm a huge chef. Oh my gosh, like I'm so passionate about food. I like
Do you cater?
food.
Do you
And
cater or you don't? I
yeah,
thought you cater.
I do.
Okay.
I do. I cater. Like food is like an art to me. you know, it's, I just, I get very creative with food, and, I could just have this imagination in my mind, and I wake up, it don't matter what time, and I just make it and I eat. And sometimes, me, my husband, and my husband doesn't eat that much. My son eats a lot, but sometimes the food won't finish, and I'll just be like, oh, somebody has to eat this, and I gotta eat because I don't want it to stay for long. I really gained so much weight, and it's not just weight. With weight we start losing our self-esteem. We
Yeah.
start feeling, a
So
little
you
bit
started losing your
uneasy.
self-esteem. Did you lose your
hmm
self?
Well, not really, but I was just uncomfortable in my skin. That was my main thing. I was so uncomfortable. If I go up the stairs, I noticed that my breath, was increasing. I'll be
Right.
panting, and my clothes wouldn't fit. I get so uncomfortable. Everything was just so tight around my stomach, and some of my clothes ripped, trying to force them in, and, just minute little things. But, my main thing was just me not being comfortable with myself.
Right.
Sometimes places that I had to go, I just chose not to, because the stress of looking for what to wear, or the stress of spending 30 minutes fitting different outfits, I just couldn't take it. So
Right.
I now started working on my meals. But I'll tell you, my husband, that was my number one support system. I wouldn't have lost weight without my husband. Like, he also told me, okay, we're going to cut back on our meals. We were walking together every evening. We started with 2 miles, 3 miles, then we were now doing 4 miles every evening, you know, walking, jogging. And I started going to the gym. I will be at the gym 2, 3 hours. And,
2, 3 hours. That's a
God,
luxury for most of us now.
and, there was this yeah, he would train me for free and everything. I'm like, are you serious? I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna lose this opportunity. And we'll be at the gym 2 hours, 3 hours sometimes every day of the week, Monday through Friday, except Saturday and Sunday. But sometimes people think maybe I did something. No, I just cut back on my meals,
Mhm.
and I worked out, but
There's
the
something
meal
you
is
wrote
the
on
number
your
one because
there's something
go
you wrote
ahead.
on your blog. There's something you wrote on your blog that I really thought stood out to me on one of the things you did
Okay.
in order for you to lose weight. You said you
What was
prayed
that?
about your weight.
Yes. Every
Many people
day
would not
when I
think
went.
that that is something to do. I guess,
It's not easy to
tell us
lose weight.
about that.
Yes, it's not easy to lose weight. That's why it's easy for some people to just get up and just do the lipo and just move on. I will not say it was an easy journey. If I say that, I'm lying. So I remember most times going to the gym, and before we start, I'll go on the treadmill. As I'm there, I'm like, Holy Spirit, I need you to help me. I
Yeah.
need you to help me burn this fat. With every step I take in here, with every sweat I sweat in here, I want to see my stomach shrink. I want to see my thighs shrink. I want to see my arms shrink, you know. And I always promised myself, my trainer, and the Holy Spirit, even my husband, like I will make sure for every 2 pounds I lose, I'm gonna cut back my meal quantity, you know.
Wow.
So the more I lost, the less I ate. The more I lost, the less I ate. The more I lost, the less I ate. And
Right. And
you know,
I don't know for everyone who is listening, but for me, I completely agree. I can relate. Losing weight is difficult. I think I've been trying to lose weight my entire life. And it has gotten to that point where, I'm like, just like you, God, I commit my effort to you. Like I'm not praying and eating McDonald's, trust and believe. I commit my effort to
oh
you. That's what
yes,
I say. You know. Here's this picture. I love this picture. Here's that little boy, guys.
thank you.
Here is the little boy that Uche had some 19 years ago. He's not as little. He's a
I
grown
know, not
teenage
anymore.
boy. Is he in
Not
the
anymore.
military and why? Why did you why that choice? How do you feel about it?
Um, I mean, he's an American citizen, and there's a whole lot of I just when you watch we have a whole lot of friends who are in the military, so that's another inspiring thing. And you know with the benefits and everything, but I just believe this is a great country. No matter, most of us come here, we go to school, get a degree, we're out. No, but I believe having a child be a part of what the country is doing,
Mhm.
what the country is, no matter where they go in the world, they're not only representing themselves or their families, they're representing America.
Yeah.
It's a big deal for me, because most of us back home, we come from back home, we'll go back, but we have a system that doesn't even recognize who we are.
Mhm.
So I just, I'm just into the fact that being born in this land, he can relate with the land. You
Right.
know, if the president is his commander in chief and calls them out, he can answer to the president, and not only me, not only anybody, but he is connected to that White House. He is connected to the laws of this land. I mean, that's mostly it.
Yeah. And let me ask this question just to see how everybody thinks about this. Maimuna says, "You just gave me a peace of mind. My son wants to join the military." And that's what I wanted to put out there. We're
Okay.
raising these children in this country. They are being taught in school how to be patriotic individuals. They're being taught in school about this nation.
Yes.
And at some point in time, some of our children would tell us that they want to serve their country and they want to join the military. There are very few immigrants that would say, well, we joined because we want to serve. Usually, if we join because we want some benefit, we want our fees paid or we want the
Hmm.
papers or something. But what would you do? And this is for the
Hmm.
audience. Is it a yes for you or is it a no? If
Hmm.
your child knocks the door today, mommy, I want to serve in the US military or in the UK military or wherever you're, China, would that be a yes for you, or would you say no, you're not from here? What's going to be your response? Just type it in the comment section. And Denise is outright, she's like, no, no, no. But that's interesting.
Yeah,
I
most
wanted to
parents
see what
actually
people
get
were
scared.
saying.
Yeah, most parents get scared because they feel every child is going to be deployed and go to war and all that. No, my son is with National Guard and he's going to serve here in Maryland. He's not going to be deployed to anywhere. But just in case, like what happened in the Capitol Hill, some of them were not supposed to be deployed over there. So, in rare cases of emergency, he might be, but so far he's just going to have to serve just here in the state of Maryland. He's not looking at going anywhere. But if it gets there and the president says, I want everybody out here, yes. So no one goes into the military without signing that they're going to get deployed at some point. But for him, he's not going to be, when he's done, he's just going to go to school and just serve here. So you just have to look into it and talk to the right recruiter. That's
Right.
my thing. Because some recruiters are just looking for recruits because for every recruit they're making money and they move on. So they
Yeah.
don't take care of the families. They don't follow up with the kids. They don't give you the right advice. They just want them in and that's it. So you also
It's
have to do your own research, your own
you do.
study, and talk to a lot of parents. And everybody's situation is different. Some parents could tell you, oh, he was not deployed. They said he was not going to be deployed at the beginning and he ended up being deployed. So for me, I do a whole lot of reading
Right.
because the system, there's always an update of information in the military
Yeah.
almost every week. So I'm always on Google, I'm always on YouTube. And
Right.
I have friends that I always call, like my friend Chaffee's in the military. So I mean him and I spoke about this, at some point and everything. So,
Duffy is
he
my
was a good
brother.
coach for me.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
He
Awesome.
was a good he was a good coach for us.
Okay. I hear you saying
Mhm.
find information, don't get into the habit of just hearsay, talk say. Always do
Yeah,
your
because
own
most
due
people will tell you
diligence.
outright don't do it. Most people will tell you don't do it. But I'll tell you there's a whole lot of benefits for these kids. They don't have to pay for school. At first, I think some point till somewhere last year, they'll pay half of their education. But now it's completely free. They don't have to pay nothing
Right.
from yeah, they don't have to pay. Their insurance is, health insurance is free, everything. They get discounts in most places, not all, when they shop. So,
Right.
but like everything in life, it has its pros and cons. But,
Right.
you know, hey, life is a risk every day. Why not
Yeah.
just,
Right.
if you have the strength to do it, go for it. If you cannot take it, hey, don't don't bother yourself about it.
Now, Uche, the reason I still have this picture up is because just looking at the picture and looking at your smile and looking at this boy who 19 years ago
Mhm.
was just a little baby to a little 19-year-old girl immigrant in the US. I feel a sense of pride on your behalf. But when you look at this picture and you think back down memory lane, what are some of the emotions that you feel?
How do you mean emotions?
Like, you feel what sense of pride, sense of accomplishment, sense of, yes, I have gotten this far, there's
Mhm.
still a long way to go.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as a mother, no matter how proud you are, it's never over when the kids are around you. Even if they marry and all that, you still, when you watch movies, sometimes you see parents calling like, why are you doing this and that? So, I mean, I would just have to thank God for the strength and the grace to see us through so far. At some point, there was a time I didn't think I could make it. There was a time I didn't think he could make it. I didn't think we'll be here today. But I'm
Yeah,
grateful to God about that. And, you know, um, the heart of a mother is always full of love, no matter what, and love and protection for that
right,
kid. You don't want to see anything go wrong. You don't want to hear anything go wrong. And even if it does, even in the midst of it all, you're still like this crown of love, this crown of protection. Like, okay, we can see it through. Like, you don't have time. There's no time to spend like, okay, this happened. Okay, let's move on. Let's find a solution. We just got to get out of this. So,
right.
it's just God. Yeah. I know we'll round up
I
soon, but
told you
there's this
that,
question. Huh?
no, I told you that an hour was going to be too short to go over everything about your
That's
story.
true.
Believe it or not,
Oh my
we're
God.
over an hour, and we normally end
Oh
an
my
hour
God.
on the dot. And for those questions, I would allow for you to answer them offline. But before we end, I wanted you to just talk about what you do as a coach, because you have a lot of experience. You have a lot of, lessons that you have learned through your journey. And there might be
Yeah.
people that are, willing and wanting to work with you just because they know that you can feel the pain that they're feeling right now. So what do you coach
Yeah.
people on, and how can they contact
Um,
you?
okay. Thank you for that. Mostly the health and weight loss. Um, health and weight loss, and my prayer ministry. I pray with people, I counsel people spiritually, for the spiritual journey, and pray with them and just see them through. And also just our regular life well-being lifestyle,
Hmm.
because there are people who don't know God,
Right,
but they still got to live a life. And
right,
there is a life outside God. There is a good life. God has given everybody a beautiful life to live. And I tell some people sometimes, so just because you don't know Christ does not mean you're not worth living, does not mean your life doesn't make sense. But adding Christ to your life will make it a whole lot better.
right, right, right.
So um
Amazing.
yeah,
And how
yeah.
do people
So
contact you?
anybody, I would say you can reach me out on Facebook Messenger or Instagram.
Okay.
I'm still trying to, like I was telling you, I'm building my website page and all that.
Yes,
But for the most
yes,
part, yeah, you can always just reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram, and we'll take it
right.
from there. Hmm.
Awesome. Like, I knew that an hour was going to be too short to go over every single.
Can I say one thing quickly? Because I know my friend is
Sure,
gonna get on me. He put this question here. Sorry, so guys, I'm so sorry for taking your time, but I have to answer this live.
sure.
He said, he said the interviewer did not say any ask about the father. Did he ever know he had a son? And did he do anything, or what did he do to help? He's like, can you address that situation? Ah, yes, people get very sensitive when they want to ask me that.
Yeah,
But I'm like, hey, I've been pregnant, I've had the child, I'm raising him, so don't be. It's part of what happened. I wouldn't have had the child if there was no man involved,
right.
But yes, for him, he did not want at the beginning, he didn't want to hear about the pregnancy. He lied that it was not his. And like I said earlier, people would say, oh, you're sleeping around. So he was like, oh, that's what I was doing. And I didn't even know who the father was. So that was
Mhm.
his story to people. and it really caused a whole lot of problem for me and my family. And because now my parents were like, oh, now I'm lying and this and that. So it was devastating because I was almost suicidal.
Mm.
And you know because people who know me know my dad. I'm sure a whole lot of people here know Mr. Odemba back home in Bamenda. My dad is a very popular person. And so it was a whole lot of mess, them knowing that, okay, there's a child, but then they don't know who the father is, and the person I'm saying
Yeah.
is denying it, you know, and all that stuff. One, they couldn't even believe that I was going to get pregnant. So now it happened. So everything about me was now a lie, just because he
Yeah.
didn't accept it. But long story short, when I came to America and he heard that I was in America, he started writing me like, oh, um, he would like to come so we can take care of our kid and get married. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, dude, from nowhere? Are you serious? And I'm like, no, I'm not going to have none of this, because you are just trying to get involved because you're here now in the States. But back home,
Right.
you didn't tell my parents anything. You didn't accept me. You didn't accept the child. So I think when my son was like maybe 15, 16, somebody was telling me like, oh, Jay, you need to let your son know who the father is. I'm like, well, we've spoken about it. He knows that the dad didn't want him. Because me, I was just outright, I'm like, I'm not hiding anything. It's my
Yeah.
reality. This is what it is. I'm not gonna sit here and be pretending like one day he's gonna come. No, he's never been in the picture, and he is not in the picture right now. So
Mhm.
I reached out to a friend, and we called him and he spoke. But my son was like, I don't want to connect. I don't feel anything. I've never known him, and I don't want to, continue.
And at this
And I
time,
was
he was 15 or 16.
15,
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to respect your decision, but at least you know who he is. You've spoken to him. This is his picture. They did video calls and all that. So my job is done. If you don't want to continue, it's on you, however it is, because I'm not a believer of, oh, just because we don't have a relationship, you wouldn't know. My problem with him is not your problem. So, but he knows about him and all of that. And, you know, it's sad how it is, but that's what it is. He has never been involved. He's never tried to contribute or support in any way whatsoever, nothing at all. But hey, there is a God somewhere. So
Yeah.
we can go through life,
And this is encouragement to
without
anybody.
everybody.
You know, the the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. So what you're experiencing, someone else is probably
No.
experiencing, and it's an encouragement to them that see how far Uche has come. Look at the circumstances in which she found herself, a teenage mom with a guy denying the pregnancy. You said you were suicidal, but the light at the end of the tunnel kept you going. You have come this
Yeah.
far, and you are ready to coach and encourage. And I just hope that people that are watching today, have been able to draw inspiration out of your story. There's so many amazing comments that are coming out here for you. Says you're amazing, sis. I'm proud of you. Another
Hi,
person says
Jenny.
that
Yeah.
you're an amazing mom. Jenny here says, sis, well done. And there's a whole lot of comments that we can go back to, you can go back offline and watch. But because
Yeah.
we're already 10 minutes
I
above
know. I'm
9,
so sorry we took so much time. Oh my
no,
God.
that's okay. That just means that we had a really, really meaningful, enjoyable conversation. And I'm grateful that you came onto this platform and
Thank
you were
you. Thank you for
vulnerable with
having
us.
me.
Sure, you were vulnerable with us. You let us into your life, into, everything that you have been through. But I always want to give our guests a parting, a chance to share a parting wisdom with those that are watching, something that you would like to leave with another Uche, probably going through what you went through 19 years ago. If you would
Hmm.
lift her up with your words, please, this is the time.
First and foremost, make Philippians 4:13 your best friend. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. You know, um, That scripture is just a big one. But, I tell people the Bible has a whole lot of nuggets. You may not understand the ways of God, but just open the scripture and take a word of advice for yourself. Secondly, be proud of who you are. You may not be what 1,001 people are doing. You may not even see 1,001 people, but love yourself beyond what you see. Because only in loving who we are can so much more birth out of us. And a lot of us don't know that. It's easy for us to look for love somewhere else, or to be accepted by people, or to say, oh, this one acknowledged me, that one acknowledged me. Oh, this, no. Affirm yourself every day. I love to look at myself every morning like, you're so beautiful. Oh my gosh. God made you so well. You're so strong. You're well. I encourage myself. Sometimes the things I try to do, they may take long. Sometimes some things don't even go the way I want. And I would just pray about it. But I always look at myself in the mirror and I said, you know what, Uche? It's okay. It's very okay. It took
Right.
10,000 burgers for the real burger to be what we're eating today. So
Right.
don't ever look at yourself as a failure, because at some point as a single mom, I almost thought I failed myself. I thought I failed my parents. I thought I failed life, and like for the dad not accepting the kid, that was another thing too. Like, okay, what did you get yourself into? He's now not accepting this. So it doesn't matter. There's something I put up on my Facebook today. Like, even when we pray to God in the midst of, you're praying to God for something, be mindful of the fact that the blessing you're expecting might come with a challenge.
Mm.
So if somebody ever tells you that, oh, don't worry, there's no stress, there's no struggle in life, just go ahead and do this, they're lying to you. The real life that we live has a challenge. The challenge may
Right.
not be the same like the next person. It may not be mine, but it's gonna come with a challenge. It's like you want to eat and there's no food at home. You're gonna have to get in the car and go to the store. That's the challenge. You have to go get it. It's that little, but it's a challenge. So push yourself, encourage yourself, and if people around you encourage you, take it as a huge bonus. And if they criticize you, take it and add it to yourself. Like, oh, these are the thorns in my rose, but I must still shine. My rose will still stand. My rose will still blossom.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
don't give up on who you are. Don't give up on who you
Awesome.
are. Yeah.
Awesome. Oh my goodness. You have shared so much wisdom, insight, 14 minutes
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
The comments are coming in.
Sorry.
The love
Yes,
is pouring
everybody
out
knows,
here for you, Uche. Like, I
Yes.
know you would take some time after this to go back and respond to everybody. But thank you for
Yes, I
sharing your
will.
heart, your life with us. Keep on doing as you have been doing, and keep, every day, one step after another. And I know that, you would have bigger and more testimonies and blessings to share with us as we grow.
Amen.
Sure.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much. Thank you
everyone.
so much,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Oh, sorry, Uche, I cut you out. What did you say?
No, I was just saying thank you very much. I really appreciate you.
Sure. Thanks, Uche. Well, everybody, thank you so much. That was Chat with Uche. Like, this is one woman who is so transparent, who is ready to be vulnerable, who has owned her story. She's told us a whole lot, being, a single mom in the United States as an immigrant, and everything she's been able to do. I hope that you encourage. Now, until next 2 Thursdays, when we'll have another session, I hope that you stay well, keep well, and God bless you and God bless us. All right, until next time, this has been the
This
Immigrant
is
Mom.
contagious, but I'm ready to go with the temptation.